מגיע עכשיו אח שלך.
The hostage was rescued by Israeli troops from a tunnel in Gaza in a miraculous escape from Hamas terrorists yesterday. 52-year-old Qaid Farhan al-Qadi was among more than 250 captives taken in the October 7 terror attacks in southern Israel, in which 1,200 people were slaughtered. But he was safe and reported to be in good health back in Israel last night after a complex and dangerous rescue mission freed him. Reports suggested last night that he might have managed to give his captors the slip before being located by rescue teams, and could well be the first hostage to escape from Hamas captivity. He was working as a guard at a packing factory in Kibbutz Megan in the south when he was abducted by terrorists who swarmed from Gaza on a killing and kidnapping spree. Al-Qadi is a father of 11 and a grandfather from a Bedouin community near the southern city of Rahat, and speaks fluent Arabic as well as Hebrew. It remains unclear exactly how he broke free from his heavily armed Hamas captors and how far he'd fled before he was picked up inside the tunnel. He was found by commandos from the Israeli Navy's elite Shalit 13 unit in an operation led by the Shin Bet Security Agency and Israeli Defense Forces 162 Division. Military chief said he was recovering from his ordeal at the Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba, Israel last night. Analysts estimate that only around 50 hostages remain alive, and many were killed by their captors or caught up in Israel's massive revenge offensive inside the 25-mile coastal strip. 8 hostages have been rescued by troops alive, and the bodies of 30 have been recovered, including 3 shot by the military as they tried to flee. Israel's Hostage Families Forum told us last night that al-Qadi's escape had been nothing short of miraculous, but they added that a hostage deal remained the only way to get the rest of those out alive.
The IDF is keeping these details secret for now, so as to protect the remaining hostages and ensure operational success in the future. But we know that this 52-year-old hostage was rescued from a tunnel in the southern Gaza Strip where he had been held for over 320 days. We know that he was abducted from a community in southern Israel. He works as a laborer in that area. He's originally from Rahat, which is a predominantly Bedouin city in the south of Israel. He himself is a Bedouin citizen of Israel. And his family is, of course, overjoyed to see him. We know that he is in relatively good health. And we understand the one detail that we do have at this point is that he appears to have been found on his own, that there were not other hostages with him. We can only hope that we will see the return of further hostages in the coming future. Well, IDF officials have cautioned that we can't expect to see all the hostages brought home in daring operations like those that we have seen. And I think that is an important thing for people to understand, that it's simply impossible in a territory like Gaza that is going through what it's going through right now, that the IDF will be able to identify, locate, and rescue all of the hostages successfully. But of course, there'll be tremendous joy in the country anytime one of the hostages is brought home. We see this as a tremendous reaffirmation of our societal dedication to life and to bringing back every single man, woman, and child, if we can, alive. And of course, it'll just apply further pressure on the government to ensure that as many hostages are indeed brought home alive, either through daring operations like this one or through some kind of a deal with Hamas that would entail a ceasefire and the return of all remaining hostages. Well, we know that Hamas has suffered a horrific blow, that its forces are in total disarray, that their own men are pleading with Yahya Sinwar, their commander, for a ceasefire. They say that they cannot sustain this level of battle against Israeli forces for any sustained period of time. And so, yes, I think that it is an indication of the fact that we are seeing a depletion of those forces. They're not as well trained. They're not as well equipped as they were initially, but they are still a potent force. And I think that the insistence on a cessation of hostilities that, of course, would entail Hamas laying down its arms and ceasing its hostile activities against Israel is, of course, the order of the day. Hamas remains committed in word and deed to the eradication of Israel, which I think is why you don't see anyone referring to a peace agreement. This is not going to be a peace agreement. This will be a pause in fighting, while Hamas invariably regroups and does whatever it can to rearm and continue its armed battle against Israel at some point in the future. Look, I think what you see is the IDF is trying to gain as many operational successes as it can before a ceasefire and hostage deal is reached. Of course, hope that happens soon. But I think the IDF is trying to do whatever it can while it is still present in these parts of the Gaza Strip to locate those hostages, to bring them home, understanding that even one day more in Hamas captivity is an absolute nightmare. What we hear from the hostages who have been released is that they've been subjected to horrific acts of abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, that they've been subjected to all sorts of torture, that they've been held in deplorable conditions. So whatever the IDF can do to bring hostages home, even before a deal is signed, of course it will. And I agree with you. This is a significant morale booster. And I think it does come on in the immediate aftermath of this very daring preemptive strike that Israel carried out just a few days ago, essentially thwarting a massive Hezbollah attack on Israel, including central Israel, which would have been quite unprecedented for Hezbollah in the current round of fighting. And so I think what you're seeing is that Israel's trying to seize the initiative, trying to do whatever it can before a ceasefire agreement is reached, at which point, of course, Israel, alongside the terrorists that it's fighting, will lay down its arms and hopefully enter a period of calm. The events of the past weekend were not the start of anything. There has been an ongoing war in Israel's north since October the 8th, when Hezbollah launched a sustained barrage of rockets into northern Israel that has continued to this day. Nearly, I think, 100,000 Israelis have been evacuated from their homes, and many of them simply don't have homes to come back to because they've been destroyed by Hezbollah rocket, missile, and drone attacks. And so that is obviously a situation that cannot be permitted to continue. Yes, of course, the events of the past weekend were significant in sending Hezbollah a strong message and thwarting its planned attack on Israel, but it won't be sufficient. What we'll have to see is one of two things. Either the international community will have to come down and start enforcing its own UN resolutions that require that Hezbollah, first of all, not be present at all in that part of Lebanon, that they in fact be pushed past the Litani River, which is further to north, and that they disarm and don't pose a threat to the people of Israel, or there will have to be some kind of sustained military effort in order to bring that about. Now, that, of course, is the situation that Israel would like to avoid. There's a recognition that however horrific the war with Hamas has been, whatever happens with Hezbollah will be much worse. Hezbollah has a massive missile arsenal, over 100,000 missiles, larger than most countries. It has the potential of wreaking tremendous havoc, death, and devastation across Israel. And of course, the impacts on the Lebanese society will also be quite devastating. So this is a situation that no one wants to get to, but it's hard to see how, absent some sustained international effort, we'll be able to avoid it.